Video games. Ever heard of them? I wish I hadn't. Well, if not, let me give you a quick history lesson. 1958 was when the first video game, Tennis for Two, was invented. Two players would take turns hitting a ball and try to score on each other, and whoever scored the most wins. That's simple enough, but 4 years later, we got this game called Space War. Two players would shoot at each other, and whoever destroyed the other ship wins. Fast forward 20 years, and you have games like Space Invaders, Donkey Kong, and Pac-Man taking the world by storm, all with one goal: to give us a reality to live in besides our own. Another 20 years later and you get the picture. Game after game after game was being produced, and now, decades later? Huh? I just got my wisdom teeth out, so I've had to sit in this chair and bum around. That was when I accidentally came across this, an SNES. This thing is full of games, specifically old games from the 90s. That's when people looked like this. I decided I'm going to beat 3 games from this thing, except I only had about 50 hours before I had to head back to school. So I better get playing. Was that cool? The first game I decided to play was... Everyone knows Mario at this point. This dude steals that dude and you're trying to get this dude back. Capiche? Apparently the game is only supposed to take around 5 hours to complete, so this should be easy to get through. There are 7 worlds, so if you do the math, it should only take me about 42.8 minutes per world. I would also like to point out that due to technical difficulties, I was not able to get footage of me during the playthrough. So I got some of this footage afterwards for just like filler and stuff. So I'm just gonna play this through. If you could like comment how good my acting is and stuff. The first level was really easy. That's also where I met my first companion, Yoshi. Hour 1 was spent clearing these first levels, and they were for the most part pretty easy and straightforward, except for this. This was stupid. But before I knew it, I was face to face with Bowser himself. A small purple looking Bowser named Iggy. See, in order to get to the real Bowser, I have to go through all these worlds and fight all these little Bowsers. But I beat Iggy like it was nothing and blew up his castle. Simple. With the first castle beat and the first land behind us, we moved on to the second world thing, whatever, Donut Land. We fought some new enemies, discovered new areas, learned to fly, kinda, and died. A lot. But next thing I knew, I was about to fight the next boss, Morton. Yoshi can't come with me. Sorry, Yoshi. Every time you died, you would have to travel through the castle again, which really added to the time. Time which I didn't have, but by hour 2, Morton was dead and his castle destroyed. Next thing I knew, I was riding on skulls and being shot at from every which way, but then there we were, Lemmy's Castle. Let me tell you about Lemmy's Castle, because Lemmy's Castle really put a dent in my schedule. Most castles are pretty straightforward. You move through the castle while spikes try to squish you and stuff like that. But Lemmy had this stupid blue dude who had no skill. All he would do is teleport and shoot stuff at you, and he was relentless. No matter where I went, he followed, shooting his stupid little shapes at me. And no matter what I did, I always seemed to get hit somehow. This is sad to admit, but it took me over an hour just to beat this castle. By now, I was way behind schedule, but I was having fun. There's just something, I don't know, therapeutic about jumping on turtles and throwing their shells that I just couldn't get enough of. Hour 4, I was fighting Ludwig. Sorry, not him. I really don't know why the estimated time for this game was only 5 hours. I don't know, maybe I was just really bad. I was having a ton of fun though. 1 second I'd be fighting rhinos on a giant wooden boulder, and the next I'd be swimming through a sunken ghost ship. 2 bosses later and I was practically sprinting to meet Bowser, kind of. In order to face Bowser, I was going to have to go through the hardest challenges I've faced thus far, except for the ghost levels. I had to look those up. We were closing in on hour 6, practically breathing on Bowser at this point, and stupid Liggy or whatever his name was back, and I was kind of getting a little tired at this point, but we were so close to fighting the Beast. I don't know, I thought that'd be cool to give Bowser like a more dramatic name. Then there we were, Bowser's Castle. The most terrifying, heart-wrenching, tear-sizzling location in the game. It had taken me over 6 hours just to get here, and I was about to face Bowser himself. It was hour 7 now, and I have died more times than I can count, but I was more determined than ever to beat this game. As I threw that last creature, I only could remember the adventure and... Alright, never mind. I was gonna make that dramatic, but I'm just gonna move on. Seeing Mario blush made this all worth it. We are 1 game down and 8 hours and 6 minutes into the challenge. That's not a terrible time. We got 42 hours to beat 2 more games. This should be easy. I feel like most people who make videos like this have infinite hunger and stamina, but I don't, so I needed some basic necessities like food and rest. I took about an hour to do both, then booted up the next game, which was... No more castles, no more lizards, we are in the future, baby. I tried looking up the story of Mega Man to add some lore and like a deep sense of storytelling to the video, but it seemed a little complicated, so instead, let me just make one up real quick. I'm this blue guy right here, and one day I was just casually going for my daily run in my blue jumpsuit, when all of a sudden a huge flying ship comes out of nowhere and gets in my way. Obviously I'm mad because I was trying to stay on pace and this messed me up. So I start brawling with this purple guy, but I lose and get captured. My pace is clearly off now because I'm not moving anymore, but then all of a sudden I hear electricity in the distance and out of nowhere comes a flying ball of yellow and the purple guy gets away. Now my run is all messed up and the only way to get my revenge is by fighting all these people. That ending could have used a little bit of work, but you get the picture. Supposedly this game's only supposed to take about 3.5 hours to complete, so I should be able to get this over with quickly. The cool thing about this game is you can fight the bosses and worlds in any order you want, but this is the recommended order. Every time you beat a boss, you also get a new ability or like weapon, which is cool. And now that that's out of the way, let's fight some bosses. Cue the cool epic montage of me fighting some Mega Man bosses. New development. I purchased these, which means I lost a bit of time, but now I can record my face and the gameplay at the same time. Look how fun this is. I died. Hour 12, I finally beat this guy, and at this point, I was really starting to feel the tiredness from playing. It was late, I had been playing for a while, and the game was kind of draining me. I had one of two options. I could stay up a few more hours, or I slept. New day, new me. Hour 21, I hopped back onto the SNES and started playing. With a good night's rest behind me, I was unstoppable. I had 4 bosses left. Storm Eagle, Stain Chameleon, Flame Mammoth, and then the final boss. I felt rejuvenated, excited, and most importantly, shipshape. I had to look that up. Storm Eagle was a piece of pie. Stain Chameleon was like fighting paper, and Flame Mammoth he was actually pretty easy. I did that first try. My guy had all the power-ups, I had mastered the movement, and I was ready to fight the main boss and beat the game. But first, new development. I had to get a haircut. This was scheduled months in advance, so I couldn't really move it just for the video, and my hair was way too long. Let's hope they bless me. Alright, I'm gonna clap my hands, and whenever I clap, my hair will be cut. I like it. Not bad. It's fresh, it's clean. I feel like my fingers are gonna be lighter. Hour 25, I got back home, cracked open an energy drink because that is the only way I'm getting through this. New development. Boys, I got some terrible news. So I got back on the game, trying to complete the final boss, and he's nowhere to be seen. So here's the deal, but explained better. I had beat all the bosses which were supposed to unlock the last one, and it did. I'd actually played a little bit of the final boss level before I left to get my haircut, just to see what it was like, but when I got back, for some reason the boss was not unlocked. I thought maybe it had something to do with the save, but I had all the power-ups unlocked, meaning the game registered it as having all of the bosses beat. I honestly have no clue what happened and still don't, so I had 2 choices. I could restart the game right now, or I can move on to the next game, and when I beat that one, come back to this one and try to restart it. I decided to go with the second option, which means we are moving on to the third and final game. Donkey Kong Country, yeehaw! That's right, we're going full circle. Remember that guy? Well, these two used to have beef. Speaking of beef, this game comes with a lot of new stuff. We have bananas, we have monkeys, and we have lots of enemies trying to kill us. This game is only supposed to take 4 hours to complete, but based on my last 2 performances, you can bet I will not hit that. I was fresh from my haircut and feeling loose, so I played, and I played, and I played, and I kept playing, and yeah, this wasn't as fun as when I started. So I took a break, made some food, and watched a show. I think by now it was like hour 35 or so, and I still had a lot of Donkey Kong left before I beat it, so I got back to playing. The cool thing about Donkey Kong that the other games didn't have, besides bananas, was you could play as 2 characters. There was Baby Kong and Big Kong. Baby Kong was smaller, faster, and couldn't kill the big guys, but Big Kong was bigger, slower, and could kill the big guys. I'm not really sure what the story is besides the fact that like we're trying to get bananas, and we get those by traveling up the mountain and fighting like rats and birds and stuff. Although, unlike the last 2 games where you could get like power-ups and such, in this game you just had Big Kong and Baby Kong, and occasionally an animal, which I never kept very long. Hour 38 I was fighting this bee again, and by hour 41 I was about to roll up on the final boss. But hold up, let me backtrack just a little bit because I kind of went quick there. By now I was getting really tired. This game was long. It felt way longer than the other 2 games, and I'm pretty sure I spent the most time on this game. The 2 games before this were difficult, but this game was on a whole different level for one specific reason. This. Remember this? So I never mentioned this earlier, but because of my setup, my game was super laggy. And for a game that is based entirely off jumping at the right time, the lag was brutal. So yeah, the only way I could record facecam and gameplay was by using this setup, which really impacted the quality of the game. In Mario, I didn't even have this setup, and for Mega Man, you can attack enemies from a distance, which made it more bearable. But this game was tough. I was also so tired from playing all these games in such a short time that I was starting to become like really annoyed. Alright, I'm super annoyed right now. I've been playing for a long time. I'm really tired, it's really late, and hold up. Alright, I'm really tired. I spent quite a bit of money getting this set up, this whole rig, and what it's doing is it's displaying that onto here so I can screen capture it, and then I have to preview it on here onto this. So I have actually the old setup, camera right here, recording the screen. I'm gonna stand behind it and beat this boss. Every time I died, I was getting pretty mad. I eventually started cheating by using this feature in the SNES where you can save a game wherever, so that I could save in the middle of a fight. And eventually, after fighting the last boss for like an hour, I turned off the screen recorder and used the saving method and beat the game. Yay. Alright, I'm tired. I'm about to go to bed. I spent way too long. I tried to cram these 3 games in the 2 days. And I didn't even beat one of them, Mega Man. That was kind of tragic. But honestly, I don't know if I would have been able to beat Donkey Kong if I would have tried to beat Mega Man. That may have taken forever. Apparently the boss fight's like pretty tough, but hopefully the footage comes out good. I have not really reviewed it much. I'm just like hoping that it comes out good, and I'm very unsatisfied right now. Anyways, that's me signing off. This video is pretty old, and as you can see, my cheeks are normal size now. But I recorded this months ago, and I thought about scrapping it because of the end, but I actually really like how it turned out. Most people who make these 50-hour videos end up completing the challenge easily, almost too easily. I did not complete mine, I didn't finish one of the games, and I cheated on the final one, which is kind of embarrassing, but it's real. Well, it's about time I go outside. This wasn't exactly the ending I was expecting, but I think this will do. Just me, some goldfish, and a big yellow ball.